blur ஆயிட்டு அது இன்னொரு கிளிக் பண்ணிருக்கேன். எத்தனை அப்பா
Good evening to all the attendees present here.
Ask the owner.
Good evening to all the attendees present here. We shall start soon. I have provided a image resource.zip file in the WhatsApp group. So please download it and keep your Android Studio open. So we shall start soon. Still many more attendees have to join the session. The count is still 17 along with the presenters. So we'll start it at 6:40.
Shri Vallabha, you're not audible. Just unmute yourself.
Good evening to all present here. We had a session 1 on 5th January 2021. So if you can see or if you can recall what we have done in session 1, we had gone through introduction to Android study jams. We learnt about what is Android app development, and we have understood what are the brief instructions of track 1 and 2, basics of Kotlin, and we learned how to use Android Studio and its tools, and also started working with XML to develop front end. We did drag and drop techniques as well. We built a basic sign up application, and we actually navigated from one activity to another activity. So in this session, session 2 of in the Android study jam session 2, so we are looking forward to learn about layouts and its types, activity and its life cycle, RecyclerView, intents, implicit and explicit, toast messages, and a problem statement. So problem statement is going to be very interesting, so that we'll keep it at the last. Maybe in the last 1 hour or maybe 45 minutes, we will dedicate it for that problem statement. It's going to be very exciting as we all together solve that problem statement. So before going to that particular problem statement, we shall need about how to work with toasts and how to do with intents. So this is some of the basic concepts based on which the problem statement is designed. We'll get started. So in this session, yes, we are going to start with layouts and its types. So layouts are nothing but weave groups. So we have certain weaves like so if you can see image weave, text weave, okay, so these are called weaves. Okay, so if you want to place an image on the screen, or if you want to show an image to the user, or if you are putting a button where the user can interact with the button, so that's the weave actually. So they're the weaves. So all these weaves are grouped together into a weave group. So weave groups are nothing but layouts. So in layouts there are different types. So to specify or to name a few, we have linear layout, constraint layout, relative layout, then absolute layout, table layout, grid layout. So here we have linear layout. Linear layout in the sense all the weaves are placed either in horizontal manner or vertical manner. So if you can see here, linear layout. So this is one item, this is one weave, and this is one weave. If you consider this as a button 1 and this is button 2, and if this is a screen and the button 1 and button 2 is able to fix into the screen, then that will be visible. If you are extending more from the screen, in the sense like if this is your screen and if you have put more than if you have put buttons in this particular linear layout such that it extends its view, in such situation what happens is linear layout will provide you a scrollable what is that, so it will provide you an access to scroll through the buttons, and then you can actually click on it. And then this is relative wave. So in relative wave what happens is this is one wave and this is another wave and this is another third wave. So one wave is relative to its another wave, and here in grid layout every wave is in the form of a grid. So they have their own attributes, padding and margins, etc. And table layout. So here here it is all about, table row, table column, like that. So you keep one view here in the table, first row and first column, and the rest, what is that, weaves into the row number one, and like this. So if you can look into the differences between linear layout and relative layout, as I said, the first difference would be the, it's say is it, whether it is horizontal or vertical. So you have to specify the layout, you have to specify the what kind of how are you going to uh, place the waves. So are you going to place it horizontally or vertically? And then here it is not like that. As I said, everything is relative to one another in relative layout. So this is a good example where you can understand what weave groups are or layouts are. So here image view is there. So image view, maybe you can keep an image of DSC, or you can keep an image of yourself. And here, okay, your name, whatever your name is, I'll say it as ABC. Okay, this is ABC's image, and this is ABC's name. So I have placed them on the screen, and then below them I have put another wave group or layout, in the sense like a nested. You can call it as a nested layout. There shall be one layout, and inside that layout, you can keep another layout, right? So in that layout, what I'll do is I'll keep another frame layout, and I'll keep another relative layout, like that. So you can keep uh, one weave group under another weave group. So it is possible, and you can extend to how much ever is required, as per the requirement and as per the need. So relative layout, you can keep a linear layout and a table layout. Under the relative layout, you can keep buttons, two buttons. For example, if you are placing all the weaves in a horizontal manner, so you can keep two buttons there inside the linear layout, and you can keep this linear layout under the relative layout, as well as table layout. So in table layout, you'll make two rows, table row 1 and table row 2, and you will keep two check boxes assigned to each table row. uh, Here checkbox is again a weave, and table row is a weave group, and this is the weave for this weave group, and these both are weave for this particular weave group. So if you if you deep into this, no, if you dive deep into this particular concept, you can see here this is linear layout, and here there is a relative layout, and inside relative layout there are certain weaves. Now, so every weave has its own layout parameters. So you have to set it whether it should match to the match parent or width parent. So relative layout layout params is there, right? So it should match to the relative layout. So whatever the weaves that are there under relative layout should match to the its parent layout. So that is relative layout. And now here, along with here the relative layout, there are other certain weaves here, right? So here all these layouts are in linear layout. So these linear layouts will have layout parameters attached to the parent one. So the types of Android layouts, we have stack layout. This is absolute layout, as I said earlier. This is relative layout, grid layout. This is a content view. This is scroll view. Like you can scroll through. For example, Instagram is there, Facebook is there. You can keep scrolling down, and you keep getting fresh new content. And if you scroll up, you would be able to see what are all the contents that you have viewed already. So this is about layouts, and weaves. Now before that, we'll create a new project. We'll just see how to implement these linear layouts, relative layouts, etc. We'll take a empty activity. Maybe I will not wait for you people to do these basic settings, because in the last session we have learned how to set up a basic simple project and then get started with it. So example 1. So create the new project and be ready. From there we all can go along with each other. So in the last session, if you have tried to do the programming along with me, maybe in this session the kernel build would be faster for your PC, because already it would have downloaded all the required files and settings, etc. And also it would be more familiar for you if would have done in the last session. It's okay, not an issue if you are doing along with me in this session, or if this is something that you're trying to do new. Maybe if you're learning this for the first time here in this session. So basically this is the base layout is constraint layout. Now I'm supposed to show you how to work with linear layout. Okay, so to create a linear layout, one way is to type linear layout here like this. So when you when you're typing, so it will only provide you some suggestions. If you click on the suggestion, automatically it provides to the complete boilerplate code. Now here you have to set uh, what is the width that you are going to provide for that particular linear layout. So wrap content in the sense, so in your linear layout, if you have certain views inside, then it will wrap according to the content. If you have two views, then it will wrap according to the two views. If you have four views, then it will wrap according to it. So if you provide it as a match parent, what happens is it will directly match to the parent. So right now we'll make it maybe height, will provide some height like 100 dp. So we'll provide 100 dp, and then you need to close the tag. And also here you have to close it like this. So now, as I said, you can keep weaves inside a linear layout. So if you can see in the design section, you would have seen a linear layout here, right? So I'll make it as 100 dp. Before I have given it as match parent, I'll give it as 100 dp now. So it became 100 dp. Now let's try to zoom in. We'll add buttons. So I have added one button. So now someone can tell me in what orientation the buttons are getting placed. So if you can see the orientation, you have to provide it as vertical. So if you provide it as vertical, what happens? The button gets placed one below the another. So if you give it as horizontal, what happens? The button gets placed horizontally. So now sometimes in your app you might need it as vertical or vertical weaves, or sometimes you may need it as horizontal weaves. So it is as per your requirement. Now I'll add one more button. What happens? It became 3 buttons, and then keep on adding. So at certain time what happens is like you will not be able to show the buttons on this particular normal screen. Then what happens, it will provide you a scrollable effect, so you can scroll and can click on the buttons. But using linear view, linear layout and scrolling and all is not recommended, because that will be say, how do I put it, yeah, it is not a recommended or in a a good way of providing a user interface to a user. So if you want to so now we have put a linear layout here. So if you want to put 4 buttons, like here one button, here second button, here the third button, and here the fourth button, so how do you do? So to do that, all you need is you need to add another linear layout. So I'll search for linear layout. Well, you can do it here also, or you can do it here, so no worries. I'll add one other linear layout. Let's make this as vertical, the nested linear layout as vertical. So if we add button to this, so 2 buttons we have added, right? Here linear layout, basic base linear layout, and here another linear layout is there. So in this linear layout, what has it has 2 buttons. So we just copy this linear layout. So just paste it again. You just ignore these errors for some time. So here we have to provide it as wrap content. I'll tell you why. So basically, this is a basic layout, linear layout. Inside this linear layout, you have given 2 buttons under vertical linear layout, right? So this is horizontal linear layout, where all these layouts are placed horizontally. and this is another linear layout. Here all the views are placed vertically. So in this vertical linear layout, we have provided two buttons. So these two buttons are provided are in vertical form, and again we have given another linear layout where if we have given two buttons. Now if you give it as match parent, what happens is it will try to match it to the parent. So now what about the other two buttons there? So you won't be able to see it. So if you put it wrap content, so it will wrap according to its decide width, and then you will be able to see other buttons as well. Here you can actually provide padding. So how to provide padding? Just search for padding. So we have starting padding, ending padding. You can provide padding from bottom, top, left, right. Already these are the default padding that the Android Studio only gives you, and you can actually add more upon it. And we also have margins. You can provide margins, layout margins, and now I have only four buttons. I don't want to add any extra buttons here. So, but I want to fill this button, all these buttons into this particular linear layout view. So how do I do it? So I can do it by providing a gravity. 1 minute, I'll show. So there is something called weight sum. Okay. So if you're doing along with me, just check it. There is something called weight sum. There maybe if you give it as 8 or whatever number you want, you can give it as 10. So consider I have given it as 10, and now for this layout I'll give the weight as 5, and then for this layout I'll give it as 5. So now what happens? Basically initially what I gave weight sum as 10. Okay, so I have to divide this 10, the whatever the number 10 equally between these two linear layouts. So I gave layout weight as 5 for this linear layout, and I gave the rest 5 for the second one. Now let's see, let's just experiment out what happens if I give instead of 5 maybe 8. So it has got, so if you consider it as a scale of 0 to 10, so 0 to 8 this layout has occupied, and the 8 to the rest whatever it the sum is, the second layout is occupying. And now you can see there are 3 errors. This is error number 1. This is error. You know how to solve this error. So this is error. This error I should tell you. So what is this error? It's nothing. Here in linear layout there is id called button 6, but here also there is something called button 6. So we can't have two identical IDs. So I'll just give some random number. So that error is solved. And now this is a parent linear layout, right? So now there's one more error. Why this error? Wait. So why this error is coming? Missing constraints in constraint layout. So I haven't provided any constraints to this linear layout. Since I haven't provided any constraint, it says there is an error, and if you run the app, what happens? It will go to the left top. So we have to provide the content. What is it? Constraints. That's it. And if you drag this, say linear layout, Yes. So you can drag and or you can provide the value so that you can set it at whatever position you wish to weave that particular weave group. Also this too. You can also provide like maybe let's say I'll give 100. 100 is too much. Well, we can actually check it, and there is some collision here, right? It's not collision. I mean, you are not able to figure out the difference between this button and this button. So we should provide some distance here. Say for that we have padding. So we have to give padding to the right. So here also we can give padding. Here it should be here we have given right for this linear layout we have given the padding to the right. So in this linear layout we should give the padding to the left, obviously, right? So maybe do we need padding between these two buttons? Well, we'll give that. Maybe to the bottom I'll give 10 dp, and for this also 10 dp. Now let's run and see it. So any doubts still here? Well, it is taking some time to switch on. So in that we'll go further. Yes, so we'll talk about activity and its life cycle. So what is an activity? As I said, every activity has a front end and a back end, and they all are binded together. Now, when an activity is launched, what happens is certain methods are there. So these, whatever the code you write in those methods, then those instructions will be getting called. Now, whenever an activity is launched, what happens is what happens is first on create method gets executed. Okay, so if you are adding any code like to update the server about the timing when you log into the app, or if you want to do some kind of welcoming, okay, I can give you a better example. Say you want to welcome a user for the first time when he opens the app. So such kind of places where you can write those instructions in the on create method. So after on create method is done, on start method will get executed. So, and after on start method gets executed, on resume method gets executed. Okay, at first on create, on start, and on resume method gets executed, and then your activity is running. So all the UIs, everything will be created during on create method, and then this is the main thread, and in the main thread on start will execute, and then on resume, and then activity keeps on running. So activity runs on main thread. So that is something that you need to remember. Now, when you press the home button, what happens? You go to back. The what is that? Say the launcher space, or say the home page, right? That's to be specific. Now, when you press the home button, on pause method gets executed, and then if you go to the recents, and then through recents, if you come back to the app, then from here the user will be able to return to the on resume method. Okay, so on resume method, now the activity keeps on running again. So this is a kind of this is the structure how the app runs. And when you no longer wants to keep the activity visible, or if you want to close the app or activity, then you press the back button, right? So when you press the back button, what happens? On stop method is called. So when on stop method is called, then you should either navigate to the on restart, and from on restart again you can on start, and then the activity goes to on resume method. Or if you have put it on the back, in the sense like if you put it in the background, and then you have opened some other apps which has a higher priority and need more memory, then those apps will be in such situations, whatever the apps you have kept in the backside or in the background, those processes will be killed, and the users will be should open the on create method if they want to open the app again. For example, you are using my app, For example, I have developed an app and I have given it to you. You are using my app. Now you have pressed the home button now, and then now we want to play PUBG. So PUBG requires higher amount of RAM and also other configurations are required. So keeping the configurations aside, it requires a lot of memory. Now a lot of memory, and it has more higher priority because it needs more memory. And what happens when you open that particular app, the apps which you have open in the background, maybe which are in the pause mode, like my app, that will be, the my app process will be killed. Now if you are pressing the home button while playing the PUBG, and now you want to open my app, right? So when you open my app, what happens? Instead of you know resuming from the position where it has been stopped or paused, the activity begins again. So that's what I wanted to convey you here. App process gets killed, and if you want to open again, then the user will be uh, you know the activity gets created again, and then on create method will get started, and it keeps on happening. Now, if you don't want to use a particular app anymore and you want to close the app for the day, maybe, yeah, then in such situations, onStop method is called. So if you call onStop method, then activity is finishing or being destroyed by the system, and then on destroy method. Now on from here on destroy method, you won't be able to come back, and then the app is destroyed. Now if you want to open the app again, you have to press the app icon, then you will be able to launch the activity. So before going to list view, we shall see the output that we had done. So you can see some error in the build output. That error I have solved it before. I mean, I pressed the run button and then I solved the error. So that's why I didn't mind to check that particular error. So now you must be able to build the app. So let it happen. Now coming to list view. So if you open WhatsApp, okay, so when you open WhatsApp, what happens? You'll be able to view the recent chats. So recent chats have like you'll be able to view the with whom and all you have chatted previously. Those recent chats you'll be able to view, right? So the name and the recent chat, the latest message that has been obtained, that message, and also the uh, icon or DP of that particular person will be displayed in that particular item, right? So that's a list view. Now you'll be able to view a number of such lists. Say I have some issues with the PC. Just give me 5 minutes. So we'll resume.
Guys, sorry for the trouble. Just wait for a while. Vallabha's PC got struck by unexpectedly. He'll be back in soon.
Sorry for the inconvenience. Had issue with my PC. So there should be a change while running the application. I have connected my So I have connected my phone to the Android Studio. Like if I run the app, so the output will be visible on the phone rather than on the emulator. And while showing the output, what I do is I'll share the phone screen so that you get the understanding of what's happening. So if we run the app, if we run the code, what happens is, fine, let this happen. We had left our we had left the topic right here. So we were talking about Listview. So to display Listview, there are different types. And in the Listview, we have a staggered Listview, grid view, and we have a recycler view, and so if you can see here, this is the list view. So if you keep scrolling down, you'll be able to view new items, right? So right now we are going to learn about how to do with recycler view. So what is recycler view? Recycler view is nothing but if you keep scrolling. So if you keep scrolling, what happens? The older items will get recycled with the newer items. So what happens? The memory is being reused, and it provides better efficiency, and also it will be speed enough so that you'll be able to be multiple items. So there is an advantage of recycler view over other methods. So we'll get into recycler view. So if you can see the output, so this is button number 1 and this is button number 2. We have 4 buttons. So that's what we designed in the Android Studio, right? So this is the output. So continue with RecyclerView. So are four sub concepts that you need to understand: item, adapter, weave holders, and recycler weave. So item is nothing but the data that you are going to show it on the screen, right? So if you try to see WhatsApp, if you see WhatsApp, then what happens there in the all right. So if you consider WhatsApp, here we get the name of the person and then the image of the person and also the recent chat, right? So this particular item is called this particular view is called an item. Okay, so here how many items are there from item number 1 to item number 9? So there are 9 items, and we are just designing for one particular item, and that is getting inflated, and depending on how much of data that you have provided, so based on that much data you will be able to weave the items here, right? So we just design the weave for one particular item. So that is nothing but an item. So item is data item of the list to display. So what is adapter? Adapter just takes the data and prepares it for the recycler weave. Recycler weave is a method of representing the uh, weaves in such a way that the memory is managed well. So the same space will get recycled over and over. So for that recycler weave, adapter is will create that takes the data and prepares it for the recycler weave to display. And we have weave holders. So they are the pool of weaves for recycler weave to use and reuse to display the data. And recycler weave will show the weaves on the screen. So to provide uh, a concise understanding about a recycler wheel. So this is an electricity board, right? So this is an electricity board, and this is an adapter, and this is a mobile charging. So this is a mobile. So you need to, if you want to charge the mobile, you need current, right? So this is electricity board. Here you get the current. So how are you getting the current? And the current will be in some 220 volts RMS, and your mobile charging will happen and around I mean it will happen at 5 volts and 2.4 amps probably. New phones are getting at 3 amps. So if you are adjusting the current and the voltage as per the requirement means, so there must be something happening here. So that's the adapter. So this adapter that you are connecting to the electricity board, and that's in this adapter something is happening. Something is happening that's converting 220 volts to the 5 volts, and that's not the point of discussion as per this session is concerned. So in the similar manner here, this is the data source. This data you are getting from it could be from MySQL, it could be from MongoDB or the local database, whatever it is, and that is being given to the adapter similarly, and this adapter will convert the data items into Weave items so that they can be displayed on the UI components. Okay, and the UI component is nothing but it can be a Listview, RecyclerView, or a GridView, or staggered view, etc. So maybe you must have got a brief introduction to RecyclerView. So let's start to implement RecyclerView. Now we'll do one thing, we'll clear everything so that we can implement a RecyclerView. So in this project, what we do is we'll display our friend's name and then we'll display their phone numbers. Okay. So to do that, uh, first we need to go to resources. In the resources, we need to go to layout. Okay, so right click on the layout and then go to new. Right click on the layout and go to new. And in new, you have to select layout resource file. Click on it. Provide a name like item weave. Okay, so item weave. So we don't need a constraint layout. Probably we might need a linear layout or a relative layout. We'll go with a constraint layout as of now. Let's give the height as 10 dp. No. 100 dp is enough. We'll add two text views. Okay, so the text view, one text view is for displaying the name. So name view, and we should display something like text name. Okay, so here you will be able to show the name, and we must provide some size so that when the user sees it, he will be able to identify it very easily rather than finding for that particular view. 36 is enough. And now we need to add another text view where we'll be showing the phone number, right? Phone number view. So this is a linear layout. We should provide the constraints. We will provide the constraints to the top and to this, and also bottom to the so one is missing. Right? We can actually provide a background color also for this. Say let's give this let's give a color to the text also as white. So it looks good now. So we are done with the item view, right? So we are done with this particular item view. Now what we have to do is we have to write a backend code, and also we have to introduce a recycler view into this particular constraint layout. So look for recycler view. Here we have found the recycler view. Just drag and drop it. So we are done with dragging and dropping. And now we'll provide a name for it. Say for this recycler view, my recycle view. My recycler view. Okay. All right. Now we'll come to the backend code. Is my screen visible? Am I on?
Yes, you're audible. Your screen is visible.
Okay. So,
Hello.
oh yeah. You have any doubts?
Yeah. Actually, can you explain that item view.xml file? I didn't understand that.
XML file. How to?
Like,
Oh, to create
how?
this.
Yeah.
This. Okay. So, it's very simple. First, what you need is you just have to create a layout. Okay. Say we'll consider this base layout. Okay? Width as 100 dp. Okay, and we'll give height as 100 dp and width as match parent. So it will match according to the parent, and then that put two text waves there. So one text wave is for phone number. You can either code it or just do drag and drop. Uh, give some size to it. I have given size as 18 for 18 sp for the name and that's it. The phone number I just drag and dropped it. I haven't changed the size of it. So that's it. Or you want me to show it? Show you from the drag and drop method.
I got it.
You got it. All right. So let's continue further. So in the last session, we had used find view by ID method to actually able to bind the data and also to edit the data programmatically and show it on the UI. I don't understand why this doesn't come. Anyways, we'll create a variable called latinate var RecyclerView. It's a data type of RecyclerView. Now RecyclerView is equals to find view by ID. The ID is r dot id dot. What is the ID name? My RecyclerView. Just copy it. Now we have to create a list view, right? So sorry, we need to create a list. So we have to provide that data. So in Java, we had something called getters and setters method. So here we don't have to create a data class. So data class is a method of storing all the data of a or all the data of a particular person. For example, data class, say student. Okay, so what all attributes does the student hold? Probably his SRN, right? So var SRN, which is a string, and then what else is there? Var name string, and then var age, which is an int. So like this. So this is a way of actually implementing a data class. Okay, so if you implement a data class, okay, and if you implement a data class and in the main method or in the onCreate method, you just create a variable called var my student is equals to you just initiate a class. Okay, student of SRN. My SRN is like R maybe 11 EC or say something RXX WW222. Okay, so this is my SRN, and then my name ABC, and my age XX. So sorry, this can't be XX. It should be precise number. So I'll give 96. So now what happens is like these data gets stored here. Now if I call my stud dot age, I will be able to access it. if I call it as my stud dot name, I'll be able to access the name of that person. Getting? So if I call my stud dot srn, I'll be able to access his srn number. So that's how it is. So instead of student, we'll create a user, or say we'll create it as friends. Okay. So friends will have, as I said, a phone number, or say name initially, and then phone number. Which should be a long, and I don't need age. I will keep double. So we'll create a list. Okay, so where my list list of data type. What kind of data type? Friends, right? So because I created the data class called friends, therefore there is a data type that I am going to store. Now I'll be able to add my list dot add. I'm not wait, I'm not able to get it. We'll create a mutable list of. So I'll be able to add, append, delete, etc. Because it's a mutable list. Yeah, you can mutable it. If it is immutable, then you can't change anything. So my list dot add friends. So now friends is a class. I'm just initiating the class with a name, say ABC, and his phone number as 122.122.122.1. Yeah. All right. So what happens? The data will get stored into this particular friends. I mean, into the particular index in the my list. So since this is the first time we are going to add, so the index will be 0, and then if we keep on adding the data, the index keeps on incrementing. So my list dot add friends def 919696969696. It's a fancy number. All right. Or we'll just copy the same number. So all right, so ABC DEF GHI JKL MNO PQR. So we are done with the creation of the data. Okay, so now we have to parse the data, right? So the RecyclerView dot adapter. As I said, you need to provide an adapter. So now we haven't created the adapter yet, so we need to create an adapter. So for that we need to create an adapter. So I'll create an adapter here only. Class item adapter. So you just copy whatever I'm trying to do it here, so that once everything is done I'll explain you. So its return type is RecyclerView dot weave holder. Wait. Import it. RecyclerView dot not this capital R. Weave holder. You have to specify the data type of that particular. Weave. So now, yeah, as I said, we need to create an item adapter. So we need to create an adapter that actually, binds the data to the UI, right? So I have created a class called item adapter, and then you need to for it the first parameter should be the context, and then the data set. So this is a data set that we need to parse. So if we are parsing this data set, then what happens, it is going to implement the weaves, or say it is going to implement the items. Now I have created the item adapter. It's just a partial implementation. Now it is showing some error, right? So you just click on it. It is asking to implement the members. So then you need to implement all the 3 members. So I have implemented it. Now whatever the data that you are going to hold in the weave, say this item weave, I'm talking about this item weave, what and all the data you are going to hold in this particular item weave, name and the phone number, right? So these two should be mentioned here. So username and the phone number, and it is a type of text. The data type is text wave, and so I'm able to access it through this weave dot find wave by ID, and the name of it is r.id.namewave. Similarly, for the phone number, it is r.id.phone number, phone underscore no number underscore weave. So once we are done with this, now we need to implement on create weave holder, get item count, and on bind weave holder. So what happens on in on create weave holder? So when the weave holder is getting created, first this on create, as I said, for an activity, on create method gets called first. So here also on create weave holder will get called first. So on bind weave holder will bind the data, and uh, get item count will give you the count of how much of data is getting binded. So next, what we have to do is we have to provide the data to it. Not here, in the main method, here in the onCreate method. So we have created the data. Now what we have to do is we have to provide data to it. So how to provide data? RecyclerView. So we have to we have to provide the RecyclerView dot adapter is equals to uh, item adapter, and the context we have to provide. So the context is this, or you can also provide this at main activity, both the function. And then what we have to do is provide the data set. So my data set is my list. So my list holds the uh, data type called object, or say class called friends, and you can access it by creating the or instantiating that particular class, and then using it, getting or setting the data. Also we have to provide a fixed size for it so that it recycles it. So now we need to create, we have to provide instructions to the onCreateView holder so that it gets built. So val adapter layout. I'm just creating a variable called adapter layout. So as I said, we need to inflate the layout, right? So layout, we have to call layout inflator dot from the context parent dot context, and then we have to inflate it, dot inflate or dot uh, layout dot what is the list item name, item view. Since we are storing this particular item view in layouts, right? So inside the r dot layouts dot item view. So this is how you inflate it. And then there are parent is so to which it should get attached to. What is the view group of it? So you have to give the name of it. So that is parent. So this is the parent view group, and it is also asking should you attach it to the root. No, I should not attach it to the root. So false. Give a false. And then we have to return this adapter layout. So return item view holder and adapter layout. So we have created the on create view folder. Now we have to bind the data. We have just inflated the data. Now we have to bind the data. So we'll do this binding process. So we'll create a variable called val item is equals to holder dot or say holder of position. So it is going to release a variable. It is going to provide a number called position, okay, and also the data. So you can actually you can query the data of that particular holder. So holder is nothing but this data only. So this is 0 1 2 3 4 5, right? So this is the holder, and then this is the data. This is the holder and this is the data. I mean data at 0th position, data at first position, like that. So position and the holder. Create a member function item adapter dot get. Let's see. Just give me a second. Oh yeah. So the problem was not holder. We have to provide data set. So if we give data set is nothing but the data set that we had provided to the item adapter. So this is a data set. So data set, and it is going to provide the position. So that position will be able to access. So now using a holder, what we do is using holder dot phone number dot text is equals to context or say instead of doing that I can use item dot phone number, right? So for phone number we have to provide phone number only dot to string, right? So similarly holder dot username is equals to item dot name dot uh, to string. Why? Oh, I haven't given here text dot text. So we have provided the binding also. Now one more is and we have to provide the counter, right? So we have to provide the count. So return data set dot count. So we should be able to weave the items in the app. We have created the on wave holder, then we have created on pin wave holder, and then get item. So let's build it. So you should be able to view my screen, the screen from my phone. So there is some error. We shall do one thing. We'll again dig into this recycler view in the next session as well. So I will be doing about this recycler view in the next session. So in the meanwhile, we have few more contents that is left to be finished. We'll go with intents, and once we are done with the intents, we'll intents and maybe a tossed. Yeah, so we'll do tossed and the intents in this session, and then we'll we'll close the session. We'll take up the solution, the challenge and also RecyclerView in the next session. So coming to the intents, there are two types of intents. So one is implicit intent and another one is explicit intents. So what is an intent basically? So intent is nothing but if you are navigating from one activity to another activity, that you call it as an intent, right? So as I said, there are two types. So explicit intents is nothing but you know if you are navigating, you have created activity 1 and activity 2. If you are navigating from activity 1 to activity 2, then you call it as explicit intent. So if you are navigating from for example, you press a button in your app and you are moving into some camera app or you are moving to some WhatsApp, so you call it as implicit intent, right? So if you can see this app where if you click on that call button, you will be able to call. If you provide the phone number there first, and then if you click this button, then what happens, you'll be able to call. And if you click this button, then you'll be able to provide a dial, you'll be able to go to dial pad, and other options are given here. So if you go for explicit intent, what is happening here? So when I press this explicit button, then what happens? I'm going to another activity called explicit intent. So first we'll look at an example of doing an explicit intent. Okay. So we'll leave this item as it is. We'll just close this app. We'll create a new app so that we can continue this in the next session. So we'll take an empty activity, then intent example. So it will take some few time. We'll remove this text view. We'll add a button. So when you press the button, what happens? You should be able to move from one activity to another activity. So we'll add we'll add two buttons. So one button is for implicit intent and another button is for explicit intent. So So we'll connect the two buttons and then provide a constraint to it. We'll provide the text name. This is explicit, so first we'll try to implement the explicit button. So val explicit is equals to find view by id. This should be a button. So r dot id dot explicit. So when explicit button is being clicked, set on click listener, this particular instructions will get called. Now what we do is we'll create an intent. Okay, so val intent is equals to intent. We'll provide the context. Before that we need to import the intent, right? Yeah, so this is the context, and then we don't have any other activity here. So before that we need to create another activity. Right click, new activity, maybe an empty activity. We'll call it as main activity 2. Yes, so main activity 2 class dot java. Now once we have created the intent, now we need to start that particular intent, right? So start activity and provide that intent there. So when you run the app, so you'll be able to see my screen, my phone screen. So there is two buttons, implicit and explicit. So if I click on explicit button, so I have navigated to another activity. If I press back button, what happens? I'll be back. But if I click on implicit, I have nothing happens because I haven't written any code for it. So now we'll try to implement implicit intent. So what we do is we'll create another variable called val implicit is equals to find view by id. So we provide the button as the data type. R dot id dot implicit. Set on click listener. So when this when implicit button is clicked, what happens? That particular the instructions whatever you have written in the implicit will get run. So what we do is we'll try to send the data from maybe like when you press that implicit button you should be able to navigate to some other app. Okay, so we'll do that. So we'll create an intent variable val intent is equals to intent dot action send. All right, so intent dot data is equals to URI dot parse it to email. So now we can provide the number of emails to say to whom you have to send these data or say some message. So val, so I'll create an array is equals to array of say I'll give my account at gmail.com shrivalabhas@gmail.com. So intent dot put extra intent dot extra email. So we have to provide this particular variable called str array, right? So we have provided the email to whom you have to send the mail. Also you have to provide the subject, right? To provide the subject, what we need to do, intent dot put extra intent dot extra subject. This is my test mail. And then if you want to provide the body, then intent dot put extra intent dot extra text. All right, so in extra text, here you can provide the data. This is testing mail to check my app functions or not. All right, so the message is written. Now you have to provide the type of intent. So this is a code word, okay? So for writing mails you have this, and for sharing, if you want to, when you click a button and you'll be able to send a mail, so for this one kind of code is there. And if you want to share the data from generally to all the texting apps or chatting apps, again you have another code. So for message, for this we have message slash forward slash RFC 822. Now val a is equals to intent dot will create
Hi, Srivalabha.
user.
We are not able to see your screen now.
You're not able to see the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we have to provide this particular variable called intent, and also we have to give a title, say launch the mail or launch the mail app, and then we have to start the activity with the variable called a. So we'll try to run that. And also for this we have to provide a what is that permission. So to provide a permission to do that, you have to use users permission tag, and then provide the name called internet permission and permission internet. Yeah, so if we give this, you should be able to do it. So I'll share my phone screen. So if I click on the implicit button, so I'll get an option like WhatsApp, Teams, Share to Drive, Outlook, etc. Now I'll click on Gmail, so I'll be able to go to Gmail. So everything is already provided to from Shrivalabhas at gmail.com. That's my account, and whatever I had written there, say Shrivalabhas at gmail.com, that to which to the account to which you had to send the email. So that's been already provided, and also that subject is my test mail, and also the content. So if I click on the button, I'll be able to send the mail. That's it. So now we have understood how to work with implicit and explicit intent. So other than this, we need to go through toast messages. So how to provide toast messages to the user. So to provide the toast messages, what you need to do is you need to understand the what is the meaning of toast. So these are the types of toasts that you can give. Like if the user has been logged in successfully, you can provide a green color toast. If there is some error that has been occurred, then you can provide red color toasts, warning toasts, and you it depends upon what kind of messages that you need to show to the user. So this is an example of a toast. Now we'll try to implement that toast. So what we do is uh, when the user presses this particular implicit dot set on click listener, you should be able to provide a toast, and only after seeing the toast uh, you will be able to go further, like to whom you want to send the mail or so. So to create the toast, you need to use the functionality called toast dot make text. So you need to make the text. You have to provide the context and then the character sequence. So this is my example app, and then toast the duration of it, long short length or long length. I'll give long length, and then dot you can click on that show button. So that's it, you should be able to generate the toast. So if you can see the output here. Okay, it's coming. Yeah, so if I click in implicit button, what happens? I'll be able to see the toast. Only after viewing the toast, you'll be able to do the necessary actions. So if I click on WhatsApp, what happened? Sharing failed. Why? Only if you press it on any Gmail, or if I go to Outlook also, it will work. But other than Outlook, Gmail and any other emailing app, if you click on WhatsApp or any other, it won't work. So if I click send button, the mail will be sent. So I shall share the code of this particular application. In the next session, what we do is we look forward to solve the problem statement, and before that we will we'll start again with the RecyclerView and we'll understand how to work with RecyclerView and then go with the problem statement. So I'll share the project onto the GitHub.
Hi, can you explain more about the data sets we can use on Android Studio?
Datasets? Dataset in the sense?
Yeah, can you explain how data sets work?
You're talking about RecyclerView?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we'll look into it in the next session.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so we'll look into it in the next session. I'll we'll start from the basic again. So no worries. I have shared the link of this particular project. And I'll share it in the group as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sri Vallabha. Yeah, bye.